Oh man. It's fucking hot. This is a hot bathtub. Welcome to another episode of Tuesdays with Jakey. It's my birthday, and I'm in a bathtub in Grangeville, Idaho. Why Grangeville, Idaho, you might ask? Oh my god, I got a skylight. Why Grangeville, Idaho? Good question. I keep coming around to Grangeville, Idaho. And I was here last Monday. It's my birthday, Monday, August 30th. This episode comes out Tuesday, August 31st. But I was here Monday, August 23rd, and I was here Monday, August 16th, getting new tires on my motorcycle and getting new brake pads on my motorcycle. And now I ended up here kind of by mistake. I was planning on going on a big ride through Idaho, which I'm in the middle of, and I thought I was going to go do this trail called the Magruder Corridor, which is a 120-mile dirt road that connects Elk City, Idaho, with Darby, Montana. This water's so hot. And I'm going to do that tomorrow, but I ended up taking all sorts of sidetrack dirt roads. And when I came here last week, I took this crazy 150-mile dirt road and ended up seeing these beautiful white beaches on the Salmon River. And I wanted to go back to one of those. So I did that yesterday. I rode home from Yellow Pine, Idaho to McCall, which is kind of my home. I don't know where I live now. So I rode from Yellow Pine to McCall and had a beautiful lunch. Had a salmon BLT at the Shore Lodge. There's one really nice hotel in McCall, and then the rest don't seem to be nice at all. It's called the Shore Lodge, and it's been there since, I don't know, a long time. Feels like forever, but it's super nice and swanky, and I think it's the thing that sets McCall apart from other Idaho vacation towns, other than like Ketchum and Sun Valley. But it's a really nice pad. They got a really nice restaurant that overlooks the water, and I had lunch there, and then I drove up on pavement to New Meadows and to Riggins, and then I crossed the Salmon River, and then took this dirt road about 16 miles to one of these white sand beach campgrounds. Technically not really a campground. I'm not even sure that you were supposed to be staying there, but I did, and just hoped that nobody came by and told me I wasn't allowed to. Didn't even set up a tent, just set up a hammock, so maybe it didn't even look like I was camping. I don't know. Do they really patrol those things looking for illegal campers? Probably not on a daily basis. Anyway, I stayed there, and it was fucking wonderful, and I loved it. And then I woke up this morning, and I think I haven't not been going anywhere in a long time. The last 2 Mondays, I was going to get new tires, then I was going to get new brake pads. The week before that, I was trying to go repair my broken iPhone and hustling down to Boise, and God knows the week before that what I was up to was Harmonica Festival, and I still ended up going to Boise on my day off, or at least whatever they call that, Smith's Ferry. Big Eddie, shout out to Eddie Eyeball, Big Eddie campground, which was fucking wonderful, I gotta say. Big shout out to Big Eddie campground. Probably the best place to put a hammock in the whole state of Idaho, I'll tell you that much right now, if you get lucky anyway. With a good hammock spot, that is. And yeah, I haven't just like gone home to McCall and chilled, and all that's been happening still while I'm dealing with this fucking knee injury, micro tear in my MCL, which just seems to be getting better. But so I found this fucking campsite last night, and I woke up and I like went back to sleep, then I woke up again and went back to sleep, and I don't mean like wake up in the middle of the night. I mean I woke up and I was like, all right, it's time to get up. And I was like, all right, just give it a minute. Started reading my book, fell asleep again, then woke up again, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna meditate. Did my meditation, made it through to the end of the meditation, then was like, all right, I think I'm gonna sleep. Then went back to sleep. I just kept fucking napping until it was almost 12 noon. And I had a couple of bouts of reading, and I don't even know what time I left the campsite today, by the way. It's so weird. I was right on the border of Mountain Time and Pacific Time, so I don't really know exactly what was going on, what time it was. I was super discombobulated all day. But eventually I finished the book I was reading, which is Ishmael, which I know I'm late. It was supposed to be a Tuesdays with Jakey book club release. I'm not going to talk that much about it this week, if any. I'm really not going to talk about it at all. I feel like I need to read it again. I usually, when I read something with intention, to talk about or to really try to soak it in. I usually read it with a pen and highlight passages and really close the book and think about them and make notes about them. I didn't do that this time. I just want to go back and read the book, and that's what I did. So I'm probably going to read it again next week, and then I'll make it the feature part of an episode coming up, I guess. And like I said before, maybe we'll do like a whole Zoom group talk about the book. We'll see. I'm not worrying about that today because it's my birthday. I can tell you that it's my birthday. I say it's my birthday. I'll bubble back to you. So I just woke up this morning and I thought I was going to wake up early and go do this Magruder corridor. And I just woke up and I was like, I don't fucking go anywhere. Why do I have to go anywhere? I don't have to go anywhere. I need some food. I don't have much food. So for a while I thought about just going into Riggins, which is going to be 20 miles back, 16 miles back to be exact. Go into Riggins, get some food, come back. But I was like, I like adventuring. So I knew about this other 67-mile dirt road up over a mountain pass that was going to connect me to Grangeville. So, I'm laughing as I'm looking at my computer screen, which is recording me, and I'm futzing around in the bathtub. And this is not going to be a long episode because this bathtub's too hot. Honestly, I just don't feel like doing this today. I'm looking forward to some time where I don't have to do anything. I keep thinking I'm going to record one of these episodes where, oh, fuck, it's hot. I keep thinking I'm going to record one of these episodes where I just, I'm going to get up. I hope nobody saw my dick there. I don't really care if you did. But YouTube might. I'm going to record one of these episodes where I just record it all in advance so I don't have to worry about... I don't have to worry about fucking having a fresh new episode of content ready every week, because it's a lot. It might not seem like a lot, but some weeks it is, where you're just like, oh my god, I'm going and going and going. And I thought, your birthday's supposed to be one of those weeks where you're just chilling and enjoying yourself. Look at me here from the Super 8. And that's not what's happened the past few weeks. I've been kind of feeling like I've been squeezing these episodes in. Oh, I had air conditioning on. It's been a long time since I remembered what it's even like to feel air conditioning. But I got that going on. Video quality's not great. I know. I'm sorry. I'm not really sorry. Who cares? It's a free video. Whew. Oh, that water is too warm. I was already in a hot tub earlier today. At the Super 8 in Grangeville, Idaho, they have a hot tub here. So I came in, told the lady at the front desk, it's my birthday. Look, I want to make sure before I check in, that the hot tub is open. Because it's expensive here. It's $135 a night, as opposed to $75 at the downtowner where I stayed last week, and where I stayed when my car was broken down. And last week, too, it was $135. And... I was like, I'm not paying that, even though someone offered to sugar mama it for me. I was like, no. It's just the principle. I'm not spending that much money on this fucking hotel room. But today, I was like, I want to be in a hot tub, want to soak my knee in a hot tub. My knee's getting better. Ran a half a mile 2 different times last week. Ran a mile this morning along the Salmon River. I was like, I want to get this hot tub. And I came, and I was like... I checked online first. The rate was $135. I was like, that's too much, but it's my birthday. I'm going to treat myself. It's kind of ridiculous because I could have stayed somewhere else for $75. Could have just fucking camped too. But I was like, I just want a nice night. It was super hot yesterday and again today. Got up to 99 degrees while I was riding yesterday, and up to 94 today. Even over that mountain pass. Whew. Anyway, so I came in and I was like, do you have a room available? And the lady was like, hell yeah. And I was like, cool, it's my birthday. I want to make sure the hot tub's available. She's like, we have jacuzzi tub room. And I was like, get the fuck out of here. Why does the Super 8 have one of these? I got to say, this is quite literally the nicest Super 8, not only that I've ever been to, that I've ever seen. It feels much more like a Holiday Inn Express or a Hampton Inn or something like that. Got a banquet room, got a really nice continental breakfast, coffee service in the lobby. Like, it's very nice. The rooms don't open to the outside. It's actually got a lobby and 3 stories, elevator, all that. So I was like, how much is that room? It was like $199. And I was like, lady, do I look like I have that kind of money? What's the birthday rate? And she's like, let me see what I can do for you. And then she said, you wouldn't happen to be military, would you? I was like, fuck yeah, you bet your ass I'm goddamn military active duty. And she was like, can I see your ID card? And I was like, no, ma'am, you may not. And that is because I'm a member of the Secret Service, and as such, I have to keep my ID and my identity secret. And I started laughing while he said that, and she started laughing too, because she knew I was lying, believe it or not. And she had a chuckle and said, I'm just going to pretend I saw your ID. Okay. And ended up getting this room with a deck and a fireplace. I should turn that fireplace on, right? Got a deck and a fireplace and a jacuzzi tub, and all this for $143, which is, oh yeah, look at that fire over my shoulder. Which is still $8 more than a regular room would have cost, so why didn't I just get a better deal on the regular room? That's what I was thinking to myself, because I could have used the hot tub downstairs, which is next to the pool, which is for every member of the hotel. But I got my own hot tub now, I guess, which is too hot. Then I spent another $3 at the dollar store for his fucking soap to try to make bubble bath. It's not even bubble bath, but I just used a whole container of soap that was called Hawaiian Tropical Breeze or something. Anyway, I'm not making much sense, because I didn't fully even want to do this podcast tonight. Just beat. And I only rode 77 miles today, but it felt like it took me 4 hours. I did listen to the new Kanye West album. All jokes aside, I know someone's going to be like, that's what must have felt like a 4-hour album. I listened to it yesterday on my ride, and then again today, and I gotta say, I fucking love it. But it feels like a whole concept record. Doesn't feel like, there's not one song on that record where I was like, I want to hear this song again. That song, like that was a standout track, but taken as a whole, and I think it's close to 2 hours long, probably an hour and a half, a little more. But it's just fucking great. It's kind of like, it's the way a concept album's supposed to work. Like, it feels like it should be digested in one whole sitting. And I would imagine most people who listen to this podcast do not like Kanye West, so I'm not going to get too into it. But I very much enjoyed it on both days. But today's ride, for whatever reason, felt like it took for fucking ever. So by the time I got to Grangeville, I went to my favorite barbecue spot, the Rib Guy and Girl, which I've been to 3 times now in 3 weeks. And I got to say, it was fucking great today, but like you can't eat barbecue once a week and still have it be your favorite thing. So I'm hoping to not eat at this place again for quite some time. Next time I come through Grangeville, I will not eat here. I did. Maybe it's because I had 2 meals today. I had one. All I had for breakfast was an apple. Then I had another apple on the ride. A cup of coffee that I made on my camp stove. And I finally got to town. I was so hungry, so I ate a big. I had a half rack of ribs with coleslaw and potato salad. Then I had the barbecue sundae, which is baked beans, coleslaw, pulled pork, and a side of mashed potatoes that I ordered on top of that. So it's probably too much. But birthdays are reflective times, right? So tomorrow, I'm going to wake up tomorrow and ride to Elk City, which is another place that's seemingly at the end of the world. From here, it's about 60 miles to Elk City, maybe 50 miles. It's over an hour. I don't know what the mileage is, but it's like 50-ish miles from here to Elk City. And then the road just ends in Elk City. And there's nothing between Grangeville and Elk City. I did it last year on July 1st. I did it on June 30th, hoping to ride the Magruder Corridor on July 1st. But I rode from Grangeville to Elk City, and there's literally nothing. You just follow a river the whole way out there, and you feel like you're at the end of the world. Elk City, they have a convenience store that sells gas, a bar, a motel. It's almost like Yellow Pine, except it's a paved road that goes all the way there, and it doesn't feel as rustically charming. Certainly doesn't. The buildings don't all feel as old and nice. It feels more white trashy trailer park vibe. But maybe my opinion will change, because I haven't been there in a long time, and I hadn't seen a lot of different spots in Idaho when I had been there the first time. So anyway, gonna go to Elk City tomorrow. Feels like it's at the end of the world, because like I said, you just take this one road there. You don't pass anything between here and there. Like 10 minutes outside of Grangeville, there's like a little mini ski mountain, and then you just go. And it's through national forest land. And then there's this town, and at the end of the town, basically it turns into a dirt road, and that's the Magruder Corridor, which is only open 3 months a year because it's a crazy high mountain pass, I guess, and they just don't keep it clear in the wintertime. And last year on July 1st, there was still snow and down trees. The Forest Service hadn't cleared it out yet, so I wasn't able to make that pass. So tomorrow I'm going to wake up, I'm going to go do that. And I guess birthdays are supposed to be reflective times, so I've been reflecting on birthdays, and a lot of my life I didn't care about my birthday. First bunch of years, I guess my parents would throw me birthday parties as a kid, right? And your fucking grandparents would come over, aunt and uncle, and it was never really that exciting. I never got what I wanted, never got much of anything. I'd get like cards from my aunts and uncles with $10 or $20 in it. 20 if they were ballers, 10 if they weren't. And I never really got like toys and cool things. So, not complaining. Just was never really that big of a deal. And then, I don't know, at some point, I don't really even remember when I started taking my birthday seriously. Well, I do. I remember 2003 for my 30th birthday. It was the second year of the Rock Soft Cruises. And I asked Joe Russo, Marco Benevento, and Scott Metzger to play a set of Led Zeppelin songs on my boat. Scott Metzger was my roommate at the time. Joe and Marco were just good friends, and I had managed their band, the Benevento Russo duo, for a little bit. I don't think I was managing them at that point. I don't remember. I didn't manage them for that long. Maybe the first year they were together or something. And then I decided I didn't want to be a manager. They went to another manager, Mark Allen. Hi, Mark. Who did a good job with them for a while, I guess. And then they broke up. But anyway, I was watching Benevento Russo duo one night, and they were playing Four Sticks by Led Zeppelin, and I was like, the only thing that would make this better is if Scott Metzger was playing guitar right now. And Scott was my roommate, so I went home and I was like, Scott, I want you to do this with Marco and Joe. And I remember Scott was like, I don't know, man, Jimmy Page was never really my thing. And I got so upset that I put on a bunch of Led Zeppelin records, and 2 or 3 days later, after drinking a lot of beer and a lot of whiskey and playing him a lot of Jimmy Page and Led Zeppelin records, he was like, fuck yeah, let's do this. So they did it. And then the next year for my 31st birthday, and it sold very well, and it was an amazing night, and everybody had a great time, and it felt like it was something they should have done a million times. And then for my 31st birthday, they did it again. And this time they got Dave Dryowitz to play bass, who's a bass player from Ween. And then they named it, and it was called Bustle in Your Hedgerow. And then on my 32nd birthday, 2005, they did it again, and I don't think... No, they didn't do it in 2006. 2006, we had Amon Tobin play for my birthday on a boat. 2007, we did Kid Koala. And then I stopped doing birthday shows. Rodney Speed Experience opened for Kid Koala. But after that, I stopped doing birthday shows, and I realized that... like, the whole idea of, like... I was doing birthday shows basically just as a way to make money. Kind of. I was like, I can use this as an excuse to have an awesome show, and all my friends will have to buy tickets to come to the show, and I can just do a no guest list show. Everyone will come because it's my birthday, and I'll make sure the boat shows sell out. And it was, and it also gave me, I think it gave me the ability to like hide at my own birthday party and gather a bunch of people under the auspice of it being my birthday, and then also be able to like run away and hide and like be like, oh, I got to do this. I'm dealing with that. And I got to say, the first few times I did it, it was a lot of fun. And then at a certain point, it was, I don't know, my dad died 2006, so it might have been 2007. Maybe we did another birthday 2008. I'm having a hard time remembering who was in what order. I think we did Bustle again on a big boat. I don't know. Anyway, at a certain point, I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. And I feel like it was the Amon Tobin one, so maybe that was 2007 or 8 or whatever. But at a certain point, I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I just want to, like, if I'm going to have a birthday celebration at all, I'm going to do it quietly with some friends. And then I had a series of years where I just had, like, really close friends together for a dinner at Supper, my favorite Italian restaurant in New York on 2nd Street, and Avenue A. And we'd just kind of go in the back private room and do that. And that was great. And then one year, a couple of years maybe, we went tubing. Did we go tubing in 2014? Was that it, Alex Turner? I think you would remember. My buddy Alex Turner came over from the UK, and we were tubing up in Woodstock, and I had a nice birthday dinner that night, and I almost got in a fight with a dude in the middle of dinner because he was berating some women, and then I stood up for them, and then I chumped him out. Said something like, you want to talk to someone like that? Fucking talk to me like that, let's see. And then he ran out of the restaurant. See what happens. Then those girls ended up joining our table. And then we sent them a bottle of wine because they were crying because he was so rude to them. Anyway, what a good night that was, right? and that's neither here nor there. But then after a while, so I started doing like quiet birthdays, and then I think I moved to London after that, and then I didn't really do birthday things then, and then 2017, that's when it happened. That's when shit kind of went sideways. So I was kind of depressed. I'd moved back from London. I was doing a show with Fishbone, and their agent came back to me and said, hey, the only day that works for this is August 30th. And I was like, oh, fuck, that's my birthday. And they were like, oh, great. So we put the show on sale. It was selling okay. And because August 30th is so close to Labor Day, it turned out it was like right lead into Labor Day weekend. Ticket sales kind of stalled, so I was like, you know how I can help sell tickets to this event is I'll promote it as my birthday party, which I hadn't been doing even though it was on my actual birthday. Then to make it more special, and really just because I wanted to hang out with them, I flew in Matt Cawthron, the singer from the band The Bronx from LA. I think I paid him $500 and bought him a plane ticket to DJ the night to try to like hopefully just make it more of a party, maybe attract some other people, but really just make it fun for myself. And then he was stayed at my house. And at a certain point in that night, I got depressed because a lot of my friends didn't come because it was Labor Day weekend. And like I say, when I was a lot younger, in my 20s, Labor Day and Memorial Day were weekends that you loved being in New York City. Because none of me and none of my friends had any money, so we couldn't afford to go anywhere. And you kind of had the city to yourself because all the rich people took off. And then eventually, we all grew up and we all started having money. And then when I was trying to do these birthday parties when I was in my 40s, that kind of backfired because then I ended up on these boats with a lot of people who weren't my close friends, and I was missing my close friends, and they were all away at their vacation homes or places they had rented or on whatever kind of trips, you know. And I was like, fuck. And I ended up getting really trashed that night. And after the boat came back, I just took off with Matt, and we went out, and one of us, probably both of us, but I'm not going to speak for him, did a lot of cocaine. And then we both ended up finding women and went home with them, or at least one went home with me, one went home with Matt, or Matt went home with one, then came by the next day to collect his bag. We didn't even get to hang out and spend the night together. I just remember being really depressed that year. And then next year, the same thing happened. I was trying to do the Dean Ween group. Then they came back and they were like, oh, it has to be August 30th. That's the day that works for our routing. And I was like, that's cool because I love Ween. And then I promoted that as my birthday party right from the jump to try to boost ticket sales. But by the time that one came, I was like, I don't want to be there. I was so in the weird throes of depression and stuff. That was 2018. And I was feeling so weird. And don't worry, this is going somewhere because I'm, moving along in birthdays. 2018, I just didn't want to be there. And at the last minute, I ended up booking a flight. Literally the last minute. Like, I woke up that morning, booked a flight to Rio de Janeiro that left. I think it left at 9 p.m. So I left for the airport at 5:30 when I was supposed to be showing up for the boat. And then the boat took off at 8 and I'm in the fucking lounge at the airport. And Mark Ballard texted me and he was like, hey, where are you? I want to buy you a drink. And I was like, I'm at the lounge at JFK. I'm about to board a flight to Rio. And he was like, what? And I was just like, yo, I'm out. I'm checked out. And I'd gone to Rio a few months before in May for Memorial Day and fucking loved it. So I was like, I'm going to go back. And I just wanted to escape. I didn't want to be around my friends. I certainly didn't want to be around a bunch of people who knew it was my birthday, who I wasn't super good friends with, and that were just going to not force me, but that I was just going to feel the need to get drunk around. Because it was my birthday. And I just fucking ghosted the party. And then 2019, I don't even think I had a show going on my birthday, but I ended up going to Buenos Aires, Argentina that year for my birthday. By that point, I was deep in it. I was in the thick of it. And that's kind of what I'm getting at is the last bunch of birthdays have not been good. They haven't been positive. They haven't been fun. They've just been weird situations for me. 2019, I went to Buenos Aires. I didn't think I was going to make my birthday in 2019. I was pretty committed to killing myself. For some reason, I was going to kill myself by the 4th of July in 2019. I was sure of it. Then I ended up going I went to Red Rocks to see Humphreys McGee the end of June 2019. And on the way there, I stopped in Aspen and Booker T of Booker T and the MGs was playing. So I went to see Booker T at at the Belly Up in Aspen. If you know anything about that club, they get huge acts to play there, and they only hold like 400 or 500 people. And they've had the Eagles and Seal and like Booker T, though he's not like that huge, but they get really big bands to go play there because it's Aspen and they charge astronomical ticket prices. So I went to see Booker T, I got in for free, and then I saw a poster on the wall that the Raconteurs were playing. Like the following week on July 3rd and 4th, and then, this is good, on July 3rd, where they were playing July 4th and 5th, that was it. So I was like, okay, I'm going to keep myself alive long enough to go see the Raconteurs. And then when I had that realization, then Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was coming out, I think late July or early August or something, which was that last Quentin Tarantino film. And then I decided I'm going to stay alive long enough to see that movie because I had been waiting for that movie to come out forever. And I kept moving the goalposts on my own suicide. Very rationally, as I thought at the time. I was like, I'm not going to kill myself till I get to see the Raconteurs. Then I wanted to see Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which I went to see 5 or 6 times in the theater. I think it was 5, might have been 6. Different times in a full-on movie theater. And I love the movie, but it was fucking art keeping me alive, and I think about that a lot. I think about that specifically, and about how the only thing, my friends weren't keeping me alive at that point because I was sure that I was a burden to my friends. So, yeah, if anything, it was the opposite. It was my assuredness of being a burden to my friends was what was making me feel like I needed to commit suicide because I didn't want to trouble them anymore with my own being, and it felt like I was pushing myself on them to try to talk to them. If I called them and they wouldn't talk to me, I would take it personally. I was just having all these fucking terrible depression and anxiety feelings in my head. So art was the only thing left for me. It was my only friend. And I feel like growing up a lot of times that was my only thing, like listening to music, watching pro wrestling, watching movies. Those were my only things, the only things I had as a child, because I didn't really have any friends for most of my childhood. In early adulthood, you would say, or whatever, adolescence. Yeah, and then the Raconteurs were playing. I think the Raconteurs were going to be playing 2 nights at the Hammerstein Ballroom in September, so I decided to kind of keep myself alive through that. And it was, I think I went to see them for a couple nights at the Hammerstein. Then I went to Every Time I Die cruises, and then I flew to get my motorcycle and to finally kill myself, which I ended up not doing, obviously. But, yeah, during that summer was terrible. And that summer at that Raconteur show at the Belly Up in Aspen, that's when July 4th, I ended up stealing a car to get home because I was staying at a hotel that was like 5 miles outside of town, and I couldn't get a fucking Uber because it was 4th of July, and I thought I was going to get the free bus service. Have I told this story before? I don't know. But I must have. But if you're new to this podcast, so I went to see the Raconteurs. I was staying like 4 or 5 miles, something like that, outside of Aspen. And they had a free bus service that takes you between the hotels outside of Aspen and downtown Aspen. And I came out of the show that night, and then I went to another bar and ended up, I paid like $200 a night per ticket for those tickets. And $200 a ticket per night. And after the show, I went to another bar, did some shots. I ended up taking this girl, Lauren Baker, who is a friend from New York, whose family had a house in Aspen. She saw on Instagram that I was going to be going, and I was like, at this point, like, I was hoping I'd find someone to go with each night. So I didn't. Went with Baker. She split as soon as the show was over. I went to get drunker, drinking tequila. When I came out of the bar, I was like, where's the bus? And then someone was like, oh, the buses stop at midnight or whatever. It was 2 a.m. And I was like, fine, I'll get an Uber. And then I start looking around, and everyone's trying to get an Uber. There's no Ubers, nothing. Trying to hail down cabs. Then it turned into like bedlam and people fighting over taxi cabs that were pulling up, and like taxi cabs pulling up. Someone goes to get into it, and then people are screaming, I'll pay you $500 to take me here or there, because it's all these people with tons of cash in Aspen. And I was like, this isn't going to work, so I'm going to hitchhike. So I started hitchhiking and started walking out of town, and no one would fucking pick me up as I was hitchhiking home, trying to hitchhike. But all I had on was a t-shirt. I had 2 t-shirts. I had the one I wore to the show because it was really warm when I went into town, and then I had the Raconteur shirt that I bought. And then at a certain point, I'm walking down that main street in Aspen. You're headed towards the end of town. If you know Aspen, the town just kind of ends like that. So, like, there's houses, and then the road kind of makes a right-hand turn, goes over a bridge, and then you're out in the countryside, and there's no more houses. And I was like, if I don't find a ride soon, I'm going to be stuck. I'm going to have to walk the whole way. So then there was an apartment complex, and I went and I stole a bike off of the bike rack, and I rode that about 50 yards until I realized the tires were flat. And then I just gave up on that and just like rolled it back towards the apartment complex and then just kept walking. And then I came upon this place. I don't want to give too many details, but it was a delivery truck of some sort. And I fucking opened the door and I reached up under the visor and there was no key. And then I reached under the floor mat and I found the key and I just put it in the ignition and I drove myself home. Yo, I was blind fucking drunk. And I'm shocked that I didn't get pulled over and arrested, especially it being July 4th. I didn't even pass a cop the whole way. They must have been dealing with other people. But I ended up driving the few miles out to my hotel, drove past the hotel about a half a mile or so, and then just pulled the car over on the shoulder of the road, this delivery truck, which was very easily identifiable because it was wrapped in barbecue meat, like wrapped in pictures of barbecue meat. And I got out of the car and I used my Raconteur shirt. I left the key exactly where I'd found it, under the floor mat, and I used my Raconteur's t-shirt to just wipe down the steering wheel and the steering column and the shifter and the door handle inside and outside. I wiped down everything because I didn't want anyone to find my fingerprints. And then I woke up the next morning and my fucking God, man, like I got home that night and I was hammered. Then I raided the mini bar, probably had bought beer earlier too. And like just ended up passing out on my bed. And then I woke up to this fucking hard knocking on my door and I was convinced it was the police. And I just jumped out of bed and I was like, hello? And it was like, oh, housekeeping, room service, fucky sucky, blowjobs. And I was like, oh, room service. No, I don't need no room service. It's okay. And I was like, my heart was beating inside my chest because I figured the cops were coming to get me. And then I walked outside. I got myself together, splashed water on my face, went outside and walked down the street because I wanted to see if the car was still there. And it was fucking gone, miraculously gone. And in retrospect, now I know. Like, I'm sure the fucking sheriff in the morning was making the rounds around town, going back and forth, doing his thing. And probably noticed that the fucking delivery truck for the big famous barbecue restaurant was parked on the side of the fucking road, 5 miles outside of town, just on the shoulder, and probably made a call and was like, hey, you guys missing your delivery truck? Like, probably not a big deal. They probably just figured it was some kid pulling some hijinks, which basically it was. Then I went back the next night and met this girl that I'd met the night before and ended up carrying on this fucking crazy romance with, and she was fucking high as a kite on drugs. This day, I don't know what drugs, but we sort of fell in love in some weird way. We were both really fucked up and in Space Cadet land. And then we ended up getting together a couple nights later in, I don't know, was it Vail or something? And then a couple nights after that in Boulder, and then went to see, who did we go see? That fucking band. Went to Red Rocks, and then we met up in Virginia a few times. She was from Georgia. She admitted she was fucking telling me about how she was kept captive and forced to do sex work, and once told me this was the third night we were together, she admitted to murdering somebody for money because she wanted their money, not because someone hired her for it. Like, real fucking dark shit, man. But none of that shit I found was weird. And that was like 2 birthdays ago. That was 2 years ago. I was hanging out with this person who I've now found out since she's in prison, probably for the best, and saw her mugshots. It was like fucking really tough because she would certainly succumb to meth or really look like meth. Look, it was sad. I talked about this, I think, back in February on this podcast in more detail. But I don't want to get in much detail for that, other than to say 2 years ago tonight, I was in Buenos Aires, Argentina, trying to hide from life, knowing I was very close to suicide, and I was trying to check off one more box of a place I wanted to visit before I killed myself, while at the same time in this sort of relationship with this woman who I knew was no good for me, who had 2 girls that were like 7 and 9, and one half of my brain was like, I'm going to kill myself, certainly before Halloween. I definitely won't make it to Halloween. And then the other side of my head was like, maybe I'll find a way to live and a will to live, and maybe I'll invite her to live with me in New York, and maybe I'll look after her kids, and we'll have a whole happy family together. Like, I was certain that was going to happen when I was certain that that was going to happen. And when I wasn't certain that was going to happen, I was certain that I was going to kill myself. It was a real left-right swing all over the place, and it was really scary. But it's really scary to look back on. It wasn't scary then, though, because it all made such perfect sense. But it is scary now. And then, of course, if you followed this story much, you know that just a couple months after my birthday in 2019, I ended up going to Vegas, locking myself in a hotel room for 3 weeks, trying to kill myself, never being able to actually go through with it, and then ended up making a call for help, which through a lot of my angel friends like Noah Chernin, Backyard Bill Stites, Karina Reichman, Jess Cross, Eddie Eyeball, I don't even know who else for sure, DJ Values. My friends banded together, found me Peter Shapiro, who flew out and kind of rescued me from Las Vegas. Toby Morse, Moon Morse, Maximum Morse. Everyone banded together, took care of me, and pulled the right levers, buttons, and strings to get me sent to a treatment center in Ocala, Florida, where I turned my life around. And then a year after that, it was 2020, and I was somehow found myself in McCall, Idaho, and I just decided that I was going to live there for the fall and winter. And I just sort of strapped myself down and was like, what's this going to be like? I guess it's the first season ever I've not had a show on a boat since 2002. Like, I used to have tons of money. I blew it all. I gave it all away in my run up to suicide. Then I was like, so I found myself just a year ago tonight in McCall, Idaho, just like, what the fuck? And my friends told me that I could rent their cabin for $400 a month. I was like, I don't even know where I'm going to come up with that kind of money, but I guess I'm going to figure it out. And I figured it out. And then just 6 months ago, I was right back here in this same hotel. I had figured out how to buy a car. My car had broken down. I had to spend 5 nights in this fucking town waiting for a part to come. And I was writing all about it, and I was podcasting about it. And a bunch of people sent me money that week, which is fucking incredible. And it ended up, people sent me enough money to fucking fix my car and pay my hotel bill. And I was still like, what the fuck? And that was just 6 months ago. That was like February 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, something like that. It was whenever the Super Bowl was last year, and I still had no fucking idea what I was going to do with myself, and I was still scared, and we had an upcoming concert season coming that I didn't book many shows for, and still didn't, and not many happened, and yet somehow I figured things out. I sold t-shirts, people have been sending me money from the podcast, been getting a little unemployment money, which is about to end next week, but then I fucking found some work at a farm in McCall, and then I just rode my motorcycle to Yellow Pine, Idaho, and I ended up finding a whole fucking community there, and a job as a bartender when I just lied and said I knew how to bartend and said I knew how to fucking cook. I didn't know how to do any of those things. But like Noah Chernin said to me recently, when I was thinking about becoming a bartender in McCall for the winter and like making a go of it as a career, and Noah had some very good advice. He said, dude, what you're doing isn't bartending. You're doing like some sort of performance art, like Andy Kaufman. Like, but you're not a bartender, and you don't want to be a bartender, and you don't want that to be what you do. And I was like, yeah, good point. He's like, it's a slippery slope. You can make good cash. But then more importantly, what I really started to think myself is that I can't get away with doing the things I want to do anywhere else but Yellow Pine. Maybe there's some other places, but certainly not in McCall. I just fucking yell at people, basically, all day. Not yell at them, but I just fuck with them, and I swear, and I use heavy doses of sarcasm, and like, we had a great incident this week where a guy came in and was like, I don't want to just tell stories about what happens at the bar. But yeah, I shamed a couple dudes, different dudes, for being racist, and it's fun. I can say whatever the fuck I want, and I can say God damn it and fuck you and things like that, and like whenever I feel like it, and I can say I can just say whatever the fuck I want, and it's all cash. But also, yeah, I don't want to. That's not what I want to do for the rest of my life. But like, what a fucking weird turn of events. 2 years ago, I was in fucking Argentina in a dysfunctional relationship with a drug addict, sex worker, murderer. A year later, I'm living in fucking Idaho giving up my apartment in New York, not knowing what the fuck was going to happen. A year after that, I'm living in Idaho, embracing the fuck out of it, kind of working at this tavern, literally in the end of the fucking earth in the middle of nowhere, and like fucking full on loving it. Just loving it to death. And I don't know what the next year's going to hold, but I bet there's going to be wild shit. Like, what's going to happen? Like, I can't even begin to imagine what's going to happen. But I know it's going to be good. Things are good. What do I want to have happen? What do I want? I want to find a way to make a living that doesn't require me to check my email. And as I'm kind of figuring it out right now, it looks like we're going to do a season of shows next year on the boat. It looks that way. But I don't know. Labor Day is exactly a week from today, and I've kind of had it in my head that, like, all right, after Labor Day, I'll start booking next year's cruise season. And now that that's coming, it's like, am I ready to? I don't know. Do I want to? Certainly not. Do I think I should so that I can get the money? Absolutely. But, like, the more I think of it, it's like, do I want to spend next summer in New York? No, not if I had to guess now. Do I want to spend next summer in Idaho? I fucking think so. As far as I know now. Do I want to spend next summer working at the Yellow Pine Tavern? I don't know. Maybe. I mean, it's good. If I started work a lot earlier, I could probably make a fortune there next year if I fucking really ramped up their merchandise efforts and actually did just a small bit of promotion for the tavern to get people in there. Maybe just make a nicer sign outside, Try to capture some of the people who are coming into town. Just the tourists and whatnot. Certainly could do much better with the merch. But, like, do I want to have another summer doing that? I don't know. It's hard to say. But I'm going to stay there for the winter, and that's big news. So I've been working on trying to find a house there. By working on, I mean for the last 2 weeks, I actually started telling people in the town that I wanted to live there for the summer and basically saying, who wants to give me a house to live in? And I had a couple of offers. I had one offer. This cool woman named Dawn was like, you can live in my guest house. It'll be great. You'll have someone to look over someone to kind of like keep their eyes on my main house. And she was like, the only problem is like you have to stand in the driveway to use the internet because the Wi-Fi doesn't reach all the way to the guest house. And I was like, I can't deal with that. But in my head, I was like, we'll figure something out. I'll figure out how to move the modem or get an extender or something. Yeah, and so I was fucking stoked, and she was like, you just have to pay electricity, but I was also going to have to fucking find a bunch of wood, which meant I was going to have to pay someone to go gather firewood and buck it up, as they say, which means cut it into like 12 or 18-inch sections, and then you'd have to do splitting it or find someone to split it, then you have to stack it, and I was told I was going to need 4 or 5 cords, and it's like $150 to $200 a cord right now. They're getting $275 to $300 a cord in McCall because people there are rich. And I was like, Jesus, that's going to turn out to be a lot of money. But I was like, okay. And then I found out that a couple of days later, she was like, oh, I talked to the guy who shuts off my water to my house. And if I shut off the water to my main house, it's going to shut off the water to my guest house. And I can't leave it on in the main house because the pipes will freeze. And so you can't stay there unless you want to stay there without water. And then her and Lorin both tried to kind of convince me, well, you could carry water up to the house in 5-gallon buckets and use it to flush the toilet and like to keep a sink full of water to wash your dishes in. I was like, come on. That doesn't like, as much as I like the rural rustic living, I don't want to live a winter without running water if I can avoid it. And as I said to Lorin, like, if I was desperate, I'd be stoked, but I'm not desperate. And there was an offer to live upstairs above the tavern, which I decided pretty quickly that was not going to be for me. I kicked that idea around for a number of reasons, decided it wasn't for me. I don't need to get into them all here, but basically privacy. I just want to be somewhere where I'm on my own. I don't want to be living above the tavern. And where I know people from the town will know I'm in there and they'll just come knock on the door. The real alcoholics. So even if I say, my hours are Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. or whatever, they're going to come knocking on that door and want to buy cigarettes and beer. And I just don't want to be living in that place. I'd like somewhere comfortable. Then another woman, Cindy, offered me her trailer, which had electric stove and heat and a shower house, meaning a house outside their house that you go in just to shower, but had no running water in the trailer. And again, I was like, no. And then, looks like now I have an offer of a place that's fucking great with satellite TV and internet and a generator in case the power goes out that automatically comes on. It's got a washer, dryer, and a beautiful kitchen. And they're going to charge me I got to pay for the heat and electricity and the internet. So I think that's going to come together. I mean, there's no reason to think it won't at this point because I've already said yes. It's a beautiful old retired couple who lives up there in the summer and lives down in Yuma, Arizona in the winter. So it looks like I'm taking their house and they're going to leave me their four-wheel quad with a plow on it. And sounds like couldn't be better. I'm still a little nervous about it. I'm nervous about what it's going to be like to spend a whole winter up there and just be completely isolated from everybody. Though I won't be that isolated. It won't be that much different from McCall, but at least in McCall, I could go skiing whenever I felt like it. I could drive down to Boise whenever I felt like it. I could go to the grocery store multiple times a week if I felt like it. But here, it's just going to be like, yo, you're there. But I want that. In a lot of ways, I want that. But it's nerve-wracking. I'm not making too many friends in McCall. But oddly enough, I've been making friends in Boise that I want to see down there. And will they come up to Yellow Pine? Maybe. I hope so. Will I go down to Boise? Definitely. Will I just be stuck alone in Yellow Pine without any visitors all winter? Maybe. But the whole idea of doing that is to do something different, get out of my comfort zone, try something new, and obviously finish writing this book, which I was really getting into last winter. I was doing a good job. Between October and February, I was crushing. And then bits and pieces since then. And then kept saying I was going to launch back into it. And then this Yellow Pine gig job happened. So the whole idea is just to go up there and see what it's like to be isolated for a winter and just write all day and just paint all day and not have any distractions and nowhere to go and to see what that's all about. So that's what I'm going to try. And worst comes to worst, I'll fucking leave. I'm not stuck there or tied to it. So we'll see what happens. And then what's the next year going to bring? What's the next 2 years going to bring? I had this crazy idea where next year on my 49th birthday, I was going to start a new adventure. And I thought of this last year when I was up in McCall over the winter. When my adventuring got cut short because of all the forest fires last summer. I started to have this idea of what it would be like, all right, I'm going to finish writing this first book. Then I have a whole nother book about Yellow Pine that I'm sure I'm going to write at some point because I've been taking fucking all sorts of insane copious notes. My notes app just about Yellow Pine, it's just in my phone, it's called Yellow Pine Diaries. I don't even know how many words it is, but it's thorough and huge. I write them during the day, all these interactions, thoughts, ideas I have during the day, and then when I go back to my campsite at the end of the night, I write even more. But I was thinking a cool adventure would be to just ride my motorcycle and just sleep outside for an entire year, from my 49th birthday to my 50th birthday, and just use all back roads and go visit the wildest little places in America that I could find. Basically places like Yellow Pine. I had this idea before I knew Yellow Pine existed. But all the small back towns, backwater places, and start meeting people and talking to them. That was my idea anyway. And I was gonna call the adventure Riding Down a Dream. A search for the most interesting people and places in America. And now I'm like, okay, that sounds like a crazy idea. And I had some caveats. I was like, oh, I'll be able to sleep inside if somebody invites me to stay in their place. But now I'm wondering, does it make more sense to just insert yourself into one of these small towns and you can learn a lot more? Like, if I had spent 3 days in Yellow Pine, no one would have talked to me that much, or I wouldn't have really understood much about them. Now I really understand what it's really like to live in a small town. So far, I've learned so much about the different people and the politics and the personal differences and struggles that go into making up a town like that I'd never have if I had just been there for a week. So I don't know. So I'm like, all right, what's the next year going to bring? And then the year after that. And it goes back to being in the now. I'm trying to be in the now. But for the past couple of weeks, I was living in the future because I was I was living in okay, what am I going to do for the winter? Which is a serious concern. Then I started thinking, maybe I'll go to New Orleans. Maybe I'll go to fucking Honolulu. Maybe I'll go to Maui. Maybe I just want to be somewhere where it's warm. And it's like, I don't know. No, I think I need to experience a Yellow Pine winter and see what that's all about. I need to chase down some other things. And see what comes of those things. Good, I hope. I think. Pretty sure. Right? And yeah, just make the best of what's here now. And now back to being in the now. And just trying to take it day by day. But a couple weeks ago I talked about what Sam Harris said about like how being in the now doesn't square with like actually planning for your future, and how you need to be able to do both. And I think I got the future of my winter sorted out. At least I have a place sorted out where I can stay, and that's different from where I have been staying. But that's also been fucking with me too, because since I started going up to Yellow Pine, I've been feeling a bit discombobulated that I don't have one place to live, and that I've been staying 3 or 4 nights a week in Yellow Pine, and then coming back to McCall for 3 nights a week, but also then running up to Grangeville and camping here and running down to Boise, and like I feel like I'm always on the run. And even the weeks where I've just been in McCall and Yellow Pine, it feels like by the time I get home to McCall and feel like I'm like feeling normal again, then of course I got to record this podcast every week, which is like, not complaining about it, but like I would always come back from Yellow Pine on Sunday. By the time I worked a full shift Sunday, rode my motorcycle back, I was exhausted. So Monday was all about like, okay, you got to record the podcast. Then I'd have to drive into town to find the internet to upload it. It takes a while sometimes to get in the headspace to record these podcasts. And then before I knew it, Monday was done, and then it was like I have Tuesday and Wednesday to hang out, and then Thursday morning I got to ride back up there. So I've been feeling like I've been on the run all summer, which I kind of have been. And then up in Yellow Pine, it turned into not having a lot of just chill time, because I would get there just in time to work Thursday, and then Friday morning I would wake up and have to go back to the tavern to use the fucking internet and Wi-Fi to do my therapy session on Friday morning. And then by the time that was done, text with a couple friends, go back to my campsite, bathe, try to read, maybe take a nap, and then go back to work all day and night Friday, and then fucking 8 a.m. till midnight or 2 a.m. on Saturday, 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Sunday, and then ride home. Was like, when I first decided to go up to Yellow Pine, I was stoked, because I was like, yeah, I'll just come up here and chill and camp. And then I realized there's money to be made, and I want to work as hard as I can and make that money while I can make it. And sock it away for the winter. And I'm going to have to live super frugally over the winter and rely on the kindness of strangers, like people who listen to this podcast, strangers or friends alike, and hopefully sell some artwork and finish this book and sell the book. And but it's been making me think, like, what do I want my life to look like down the line? And more I'm realizing I want it to look like a life that doesn't need to be replying to emails all the time about shows and offers, and just like trying to run a show last week, the Badfish show on our boat that CEG was presenting. Like, wasn't even my show, but there was so much bullshit involved, and not even really the COVID rules, though. Our boat manager ended up getting COVID, but just like all sorts of bullshit from the band and the promoter. And I was just trying to navigate these parts, even though I hired people to do that. And it really turned me further off from concert promotion. And like, so I was thinking too today on the ride about like, what do you want your legacy to be? And it was funny, something I heard on the Kanye record. And what do you want to be remembered for, and that kind of vibe. And like, it's making me think like, I've been very involved in the concert business for a long time, put on a lot of shows. The number would be staggering if I probably added up how many people have come to the shows I put on over the course of my life. It'd probably be staggering to know how many people came to shows that I was involved in playing and as a member of the band too, right? And like, when is enough? Like, would it be enough if I didn't do a 20th anniversary season? Probably. I don't know that I get a thrill from doing that anymore. But also maybe this whole break in Yellow Pine will lead me to feeling like I need more of that in my life, and I need to do something else on a grand scale. Maybe writing a book will be something that can touch a lot of people, and maybe it will, and maybe I'll get to keep writing, and then I can just write my own ideas and not have to deal with the bullshit that comes with trying to put on mass gatherings. It's like, it's probably just like anything though, right? Like if you're a fucking Xerox copier salesman, you're probably always getting calls from customers that it doesn't work right, the paper tray's jammed, it's out of ink, why isn't this, why isn't that? And like, everybody's got that shit in their jobs for the most part. If it's a career, right? Like an ongoing job where you're servicing customers. That's what being a promoter is. You're servicing customers, which are the agents, the bands, the managers, and even the fans and the actual customers. But like, when do you not have that going on? I guess like blue collar jobs. That's the beauty of those, right? If you're a landscaper, you're fucking cutting grass from this time to that time. And are you thinking about cutting grass after? It's like, if you're really good at your job, I bet you are. I bet you're thinking, like, how can I maneuver that machine in such a way that it's going to cut the grass better or something? And, like, maybe that's something I'll always be doing, but I'd rather it be doing something I do for myself. Maybe it's more podcasting, more writing, more painting. Maybe I'll learn the hard way that nobody wants to read a book that I had to read, that I wrote. And I'll have to go back to working on a farm or landscaping or bartending for the rest of my life. Maybe most likely, I'll have all these new ideas that I'll try to implement. But I think I'll probably have a concert season next year because it's the easiest thing I can do to make money, oddly enough, even though it's very difficult. It's the most familiar thing I can do and the thing in which I have the most amount of contacts, I guess. I didn't think I was going to go long on this week's episode, but honestly, I was telling someone earlier today that I thought I might just do like 5 minutes and just put an episode out and be like, hey, it's my birthday, I don't want to do anything. I don't know why anyone would listen this long. I didn't even tell any good, funny, amazing stories. Just talking shit. And I guess I should say that Yellow Pine did throw a birthday party for me, which was fucking cool. Yeah, so Saturday night, a week and a half ago, I told Lorin that the following, when my birthday was. Because Roberta's granddaughter was up there having a birthday, and then somehow it came to, when's your birthday, Jake? And I was like, oh, mine's next week, August 30th. And Lorin and Roberta got all excited, and they decided they were going to have a birthday party for me. And then they told me that they had a cake left over from when it was Margaret's birthday, who turned like 85, and Margaret has COPD and is hooked up to an oxygen machine, yet still fucking chain smokes like a motherfucker. And they had told me that there was a birthday cake left over from Margaret's birthday because this woman, Gay, had brought a cake, but then her ex-husband had sent a cake, but Gay brought a cake and then went to her cabin, which she hadn't been to in 6 months, and spent like 36 hours cleaning it because apparently Gay is like an 82-year-old woman who's on meth and literally never sleeps and just cleans all the time. I don't know that she's really on meth. Wouldn't be surprised because I did meet her. She was the one who had the t-shirt that said, one of my guardian angels quit and had to go into therapy or something. And so I was going to have this leftover cake from Gay, but then Anne found out that I was going to have a birthday party, and I thought about asking Anne and Jeff, who are one of my favorite couples up there, I thought about asking them to host me a birthday party, but then Jeff had to have fucking hernia surgery last Monday, and then Anne had to have her own medical issue, and then, so I was like, I can't ask them, but then Anne got me a cake, I think when she was down in Boise at the hospital, and she special ordered this fucking unicorn cake, and they brought it for me Saturday night, and Lorin told me they were going to have a party for me on Saturday night, and I was like, cool, and then she was like, I'm going to get so-and-so to bartend so you don't have to work, and I was like, that's bullshit, I'm going to fucking work, because, like, if you're a bartender, you want to work on your birthday, especially you want to work your own birthday party, because you want those tips, which worked, because I did way better in tips than I would have done otherwise, and one person gave me a $100 tip, and I don't know who it was, because it just ended up in my tip jar, but I'm pretty sure I know who it is, and I'm going to ask her if it was her, and her name might be Anne, and she might have been the one who got me a fucking unicorn cake, and she's awesome, former I don't know, like 8 or 9 time national supermoto champion. Her husband is a crazy fucking EMT legend who started the first ever mountain bike EMT crew, was a battalion chief at the fire department in Denver for years. Just cool fucking couple. A lot of cool stories up there in Yellow Pine that need to be told. And I'm gonna keep learning them, and then I'm gonna tell a lot of them. And yeah, so I did get my birthday party, and it was really cool. And a bunch of people brought me cards, and a few people brought me presents, and I thought it was just so cute. One of the guys brought me this, like, dinosaur that you put, like, ping pong balls in his mouth, and you squeeze his belly, and he shoots the ping pong balls. And he was like, that's for shooting at customers who don't give good tips, because over the past 3 weeks, I guess, I've really let a bunch of customers have it in front of other customers and just been like, they leave some money on the bar, they come up to pay their bill. It's especially prevalent at breakfast time. People think they don't have to tip the same for breakfast or whatever. So when I'm working these breakfast shifts, they'll come up and they'll, like, fucking $28 bill, and they'll leave $30 and be like, hey, keep the change, and they'll go to walk out. And sometimes I, like, give them the bill, and then I go deal with someone else. So sometimes by the time I get back, like, they're halfway out the door or whatever. And it happened a couple of times this weekend and the weekend before. I was like, excuse me, whoa. Yo, you guys don't think you're really going to leave $2 for a fucking 4-person table, do you, right? Oh, no. Of course we weren't. Well, yeah, you were. That's why you're halfway out the fucking door. That's incredibly rude, shit like that. Caught someone trying to leave Lorraine $1 tip on a $49 tab. They left her $50. Had to shake them down for more money. And by shake them down, I just mean like, hey, that's not fucking cool, man. You're not going to stiff the old lady like that. And so I've developed the attitude as being someone who's not going to take any shit, or the reputation, which I think I've been getting that from the beginning. But especially the past couple of weeks, I've just been like, I think I see the clock ticking towards Labor Day. And I'm like, I'm not fucking putting up with a shitty tip. You know what? Fuck you. And that's one of those things where, like, certainly could never get away with that working in most establishments, You get fired immediately if you just told a customer they had to give you more money. Or half the shit I say to these fucking customers in general, Even the stuff that's super lighthearted and fun, it's just like, I think most business owners would be like, dude, what are you doing? I was telling some guy the other day, there was this huge chainsaw that's hanging over two beams. It's a 2-person chainsaw. It's definitely from like the early 1900s. And people are always asking about it. It's got a 6-foot blade, literally 6-foot blade. And this harness that you fucking put over your shoulders for the side that's got the engine on it. And then a handle on the side at the end of the blade. And it takes 2 people to hold this thing up. And it's made to cut through these massive trees. And someone last week was asking what brand it was. And I didn't know, and then Lorraine knew, and then she went into the back to cook, and I was like, dude, if you look real close at the part that's painted red up there's little notches in the handle where the red paint is. But little notches, one of those, each notch is for a finger that is taken. And he was like, what, really? And I was like, yeah, dude, yeah, apparently those things are really dangerous. And then like half an hour later, I was sitting down with Wally and Roberta and Lorraine, and the dude was fucking standing on a stool with his camera phone out with a flashlight trying to get a look at the notches. And Lorraine's like, what is that guy doing? And I just whispered to her, I was like, I told him that there was a notch for every finger that it's taken. And she's like, why would you do that? And I was like, because it's funny. And then he yelled over, I can't seem to find these notches. Where are they? And I'm like, oh, I've never gotten close enough to see them myself, but that's what one of the other old timers in here told me. Keep looking. And Lorraine's like, Jake, you can't keep just making stories like this up. And I was like, yes, I can, and I'm going to. And she's like, okay, yeah, you can. And that's one of the things I love most about this gig. Anyway, thanks for putting up with me for another hour of Tuesdays with Jakey. If you miss your chance to send me a birthday card, you could do it again. P.O. Box 4116, McCall, Idaho 83638. Of course, if you find anything in this podcast valuable to you and you want to express how valuable you find it by sending some money my way, you can always do that. PayPal, jake@rocksoff.com, or Venmo at jake-sufnerowski. Or attached to my phone number, which you can always text, but please never call, 917-443-7615. I am going to be taking off tomorrow for Elk City, the Magruder Corridor, and God knows where else past that. And hopefully you get a good kick out of listening to this week's episode. If you're still listening, I don't know why you would be. Feels like probably one of my worst episodes ever. I'm sorry if I was so disjointed at the beginning of it, but I'm just going to curl up in my bed now with some Good and Plenty's that I bought at the dollar store while I watched a guy put his kid in a baby seat and take him into the dollar store next door while the sheriff was making his wife do a field sobriety test in their broken down pickup. And then the guy's credit card got turned down for a pack of fucking Pyramid cigarettes as he was waiting in front of me, and I had to wait a long time for the manager to come and void the cigarettes out before I could purchase my Good and Plenty candies and my shaving cream, which I obviously haven't used yet because look at this thick beard. Anyways, thanks for listening to another episode of Tuesdays with Jakey. I'll probably have an episode next week, even though it's Labor Day, and maybe I'll come up with another good theme episode. Anyway, I appreciate you listening. I appreciate all the feedback I get. I appreciate all the birthday texts I've gotten so far. If I haven't replied to yours, it's because I've barely been by my phone. If I haven't replied to your messages in general, your text messages, please don't take it personally. I've literally just fucking been on the run all summer, and some of the only time I have internet access is while I'm at the tavern, and when my shift ends, I just want to get the fuck out of there, and I'm not trying to reply to messages. And it doesn't mean I don't read the messages, and it doesn't mean I'm not thinking about you. But sometimes just out of reach, and out of touch, and out of signal. And I kind of like it that way, and I want more of my life to be like that. But I also want to see more people in person. So come visit. Come to Yellow Pine. I'll be there all winter. I'd probably be stoked to see you. Probably. God bless. Keep your feet on the ground. Keep reaching for those stars. Keep your hammock from swinging too wildly. And watch out for rattlesnakes. Inshallah.